With mass shootings having become more commonplace, it's even more important than ever to have thoroughly thought through the actions you'll take if you're unfortunate enough to live through such an event. In this video, Dr. Joe Alton of the YouTube channel Doom and Bloom will share practical information that enables you to have a plan.
Hi, Joe Alton MD here, also known as Dr. Bones of the survival medicine website doomandbloom.net, co-author of the 2022 Book Excellence Award winner in medicine, the 4th edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook, plus designer of quality medical kits at store.doomandbloom.net. For the last couple of years, when I talked about the new normal, I was talking about the pandemic, but there was also a new normal even before that of the active shooter event. An active shooter is, well, just that, an individual actively engaged in an attempt to create multiple casualties in a confined and populated area. In most cases, active shooters shoot, that is, use firearms, but mass casualties have also been caused by those employing vehicles as a weapon, a very powerful weapon. Shooting events by the disturbed and disaffected have increased in numbers since we've begun to resume normal patterns as the pandemic wanes. Schools, churches, places of business, and other public venues are fair game for those with bad intentions. Armed not only with weapons but with a blueprint from previous incidents, gunmen easily identify soft targets nowadays and are becoming more successful in killing defenseless people. In most cases, people are oblivious to the event until it's too late. They live under what we call normalcy bias. That's a tendency for people to believe that everything follows a pattern. The day will proceed normally because, well, it always has. That's a natural response. Most of the time, those who have their faces buried in their smartphones are more likely to walk into a lamppost than become the victim of an active shooter. People think that the sound of gunfire is a blown tire or anything less threatening than an assassin out to kill them. This leads to a type of paralysis when it is that. By the time good judgment comes into play, there are oftentimes many casualties. It may seem extreme to suggest you're always at risk for this type of event, but the headlines suggest otherwise. Without a plan of action, the average person follows the herd. If 50 people around you drop to the floor, well, your natural tendency is to do the same. Cowering in terror, however, in plain view of the shooter, is not a recipe for a good outcome. By being aware and having a plan, you're going to have a better chance of getting out there in one piece. Calm and rational vigilance of your surroundings is what we call situational awareness, a concept first put forth by a military pilot pertaining to aerial dogfights, but which has special importance today for the average citizen. You're looking for what we call anomalies, actions and behaviors that raise suspicion that something's up. If someone's wearing a winter coat in the middle of July, well, that's an anomaly. Check out the videos on this channel about the OODA loop, OODA. That's observe, orient, decide, and act. The standard Department of Homeland Security recommendations in shooter events can be pretty much summarized as run, hide, fight. If you're inside, know where the exits are. If you're outside, know the nearest route away from the area or to reasonable nearby shelters. If you're in a crowd, stay in the periphery, not center stage. Assume that the sounds of gunshots are gunshots, not firecrackers. Know the direction the gunshots are coming from, head the other way immediately. Prime for a possible emergency, you'll decrease the chances of becoming a victim. Leave bulky belongings behind, by the way. Face it, it's just stuff. Encourage others to leave also, but don't let their reluctance slow you down. If evacuation isn't an option, find a place to hide out of the shooter's line of sight. But you need more than concealment, you need cover, protection against bullets heading in your direction. An office with a solid door you can lock might help. Blockade the entrance to your hiding spot with furniture and remain quiet. Of course, in normal times, the sooner you call 911, the faster help will arrive. Tactical teams of law enforcement won't be polite, they have a threat to neutralize. If you see them, stop and raise your hands with fingers spread visibly so it's clear you're not the problem. Don't ask for help, they most likely won't stop even if you're injured. If you can, however, proceed in the direction from which the tactical team entered the premises. If you can't because you're injured, additional help will be dispatched to include medical personnel. I haven't mentioned the word fight yet. If the shooter's at close range and your escape is blocked, your chances of survival will increase if you can incapacitate them. You may have heard somewhere that violence is not the answer. There are circumstances, however, when violence may indeed be the action of choice in these events. It's better than a bullet in the head. Statistics published by the FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin indicate that a significant minority of attacks ended before law enforcement arrived and were aborted by a single citizen, with or without a handgun. Active shooters are unlikely to be Navy SEALs or marksman-grade snipers. In a crowd of adults, they may become confused by an attacker, or preferably multiple attackers, and projectiles, maybe even cell phones, thrown their way. They'd have to duck or flinch and would have to make decisions as to who to shoot where. I'm not saying someone might not be killed attacking a gunman, but the event might end further loss of life. You might say this is a faulty strategy doomed to failure. Well, 3 unarmed men were able to stop a shooter on a train in Paris a few years ago without any fatalities. It may be extreme, but sometimes violence is necessary to prevent worse violence. I recently saw a video of lions taking down a water buffalo. A few other water buffalo actually decided to charge the lions. They flipped one high in the air and ended the attack. When a herd takes action, the prey has a better chance of survival. Don't be the soft target that assassins look for. Remain situationally aware at all times and try to limit being in situations an active shooter would find attractive. Maybe this kind of thinking was once paranoia, but in these uncertain times, it's more like common sense. You don't have to be a fortune teller to know that there are more active shooter events on the horizon. Watch for anomalies in behavior and always have a plan of action. A prepared nation wouldn't be invulnerable to attacks, but its citizens would have a better chance to survive them. This is Joe Alton, MD, that old Dr. Bones, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Hey, learn more about active shooter events in the Amazon Top 20, 4th edition of the Survival Medicine Handbook. And get your family medically prepared with quality kits and individual supplies from store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Thanks again to Dr. Joe Alton for taking the time to put together this very useful and valuable information. I'll post a link up in the cards above and in the description section below if you'd like to check out their channel. I would highly encourage you as well to check out their book referenced in the video, the Survival Medicine Handbook. When I first started out years ago on my preparedness journey, this was one of the very first books that I picked up. And I'll also post a link to another video I did years ago regarding developing situational awareness. In that video, I go into a lot of detail regarding what's called the OODA loop. It's a way of thinking that enables you to be aware of your surroundings and to make decisions very quickly based off the information that you have. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to post those in the comments section below. As always, stay safe out there.